Good morning. It's like 4 a.m. and time to catch a ferry. Well, they canceled the ferry. They had all the bikes loaded, all the cargo loaded. Everybody was on board and strapped in with their life jackets. They even turned on the motor for a second, but after a little while, the captain came down and said the trip was canceled. Too much wind. Well, we're back at the campsite. Just waiting for the next boat. Forecast says that it won't be for a while. Maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days, maybe a week. It all depends on the wind out on the lake. It's a little bit frustrating. You know, I mean, I knew these things could happen in Patagonia, but we were just so close. You know what I mean? We were on the boat. We were on the boat!
Welcome to Cranking It, yeah, we cranking it. Welcome to Cranking It, yeah, we cranking it.
Last episode, my dad and I finished the Carretera Austral, ending up deep in Chilean Patagonia at the town of Villa O'Higgins. To continue south from there, cyclists and backpackers must take a passenger ferry across Lago O'Higgins, traverse a 21-kilometer path into Argentina, and then take a second ferry across Lago del Desierto before finally reaching another road. We ended up having to wait 5 days in Villa O'Higgins. Fortunately, there was a rodeo happening that weekend. Five days later, we headed back out to the ferry landing for another attempt. Alright, so attempt number 2. This time is not quite so early. Boat leaves at 7:30. Yeah, let's hope we get it this time. All the cyclists who missed the boat the last time were there, as well as everyone who arrived in the last 5 days. Once again, we loaded the bikes in gear, got on board, and waited to finally get going. I definitely felt a sense of relief when the boat finally pulled away from the dock and started heading down the lake. Out in the middle of the lake, the wind whipped up, and I was glad it wasn't any stronger. We landed on the opposite shore and began the 21-kilometer trek to the second lake. The route started with a steep, rough road up to the pass that marks the border with Argentina. It was around 11:30 when we landed, and we knew the last ferry across the second lake left at about 4:30. 5 hours seemed like enough time to do 21 kilometers, but there were a couple of obstacles to overcome first. As soon as we crossed the border, the road became a footpath, which turned out to be pretty hard to ride. Oh, no. Well, not the best time to break a cable, but here we are. Yeah, we could replace it. It would just take a second. But we've got a ferry to catch, so I'm just gonna front break it for now. It'll be fine.
The other issue is that the second ferry runs 6 days a week, every day except Wednesday, and today was Tuesday. We had to catch the 4:30 ferry or else be stranded again until Thursday. Going in, I expected it to be a difficult but rideable single-track route through the woods, but it turned out to be a mostly unrideable trail full of roots, rocks, and muddy stream crossings. Despite everything, we had to keep pushing.
Oh, hey there. Oh, what a nice ride.
And finally we arrived at Lago del Desierto, which perfectly framed the iconic Mount Fitzroy. After a steep descent to the lake shore, we boarded the ferry and crossed the lake. On the other side, we rode for about an hour before finding the perfect place to camp. The next day, we continued towards El Chalten. Soon, the mountains began to recede. We rode through El Chalten and then headed out into the open pampa.
Alright, so we just left El Chalten and we're headed out into the pampa. It's crazy how fast it changed. We went from mountains and glaciers and rivers and lakes, and now all the trees are gone and it's just it's just open plains again. And the road is just paved and flat and long.
One of the birds my dad was hoping to see was the rhea, a large flightless bird like an ostrich. There were also foxes and guanacos all over the place. The terrain reminded me a lot of northern Argentina, with its wide open plains and strong winds. I was also back on Route 40, just like most of episode 16. The main difference was the cooler temperature, and the abundance of wide rivers and lakes. We cruised along a smooth, paved highway, sometimes fighting a headwind, sometimes enjoying a tailwind. Too much highway can get a bit boring though, and we decided to take a shortcut along a stony back road. For For hours, we cranked out the kilometers over loose and bumpy rocks. But it was all worth it when we happened upon a small lake full of flamingos. That night, we paid 5,000 pesos each to stay in a bed at a road maintenance station. Not the most glamorous accommodation, but we were glad to be out of the wind. From there, it was just another half day back to the border with Chile.
Alright, we're back in Chile. Just crossed the border from Argentina. Feels good. Argentina was nice, but honestly, the pampas got a little bit samey after a while. A lot of just open grasslands and wind. We're headed to Puerto Natales now, which is going to be my dad's final destination. Well, the end of his bike ride anyway.
In Puerto Natales, we stayed at a guest house and went out for pizza.
Well, I'm on my own again. Dad finished up in Puerto Natales. Gonna do a few tours around there and go visit Torres del Paine. And then he's gonna take a bus to Punta Arenas, where I'm gonna meet him. That's where I'm headed now. I've got a glorious tailwind. A lot of people complain about Patagonia headwinds, but you know, when they're behind you, feels pretty nice.
It only took me a couple days to cross the 250 kilometers to Punta Arenas. After a nice cruise along the waterfront, I went to meet my dad. We took a couple of rest days in Punta Arenas to find my dad a bike box and to go on a tour to Isla Magdalena, a Magellanic penguin rookery. The penguins inhabit the island during the summer months as they lay eggs in burrows and then take shifts caring for the chicks while the other parent goes out hunting. The next day we parted ways. My dad got on a plane home, and I got on a ferry to Tierra del Fuego.
Alright, so I've left behind continental South America, crossed the Straits of Magellan, and now I'm here on the big island of Tierra del Fuego. It's not really what I imagined. The day is sunny, the road is a little bit hilly, but not too bad, and I've got a pretty nice tailwind. On the ferry I met a guy named Marco from Portugal, and he rides in a Superman costume. He's also headed to Ushuaia, which is really where everyone on this island is headed.
We ended up splitting up. He wanted to ask at a farm to stay indoors. I wanted to continue to take advantage of the tailwind and the sun.
Well, today's day 2 on Tierra del Fuego, and you know, honestly, it's just been really nice. Just crossed my final border from Chile back into Argentina. Hardly any wind, just some light tailwinds, if anything. I'm almost done. It's really been quite a long ways, and it's crazy now that I'm here, so close to the end. To be honest, at this point, I'm pretty excited for it to be over. You know, I'm so close to a goal that I've been working for the past 20 months. There's never any guarantee that I would make it. And now I'm so close, I can almost taste it. I'm looking forward to being back home and putting my feet up for a bit, staying somewhere warm and dry and with a regular shower.
With the help of the tailwind, I blasted across the island until I hit the eastern coast and the city of Rio Grande. Only 500 kilometers off the coast of Tierra del Fuego lie the Falkland Islands, or Malvinas as they're called in Argentina. It's been over 40 years since the war with Great Britain, but the conflict still remains culturally important to Argentines, especially here, so close to the contested territory. On my way out of the city, the winds changed, and I was faced with a strong headwind. I decided to leave the coast and head inland, where I hoped the trees and hills might shelter me. The road was unpaved, but smooth and nearly deserted. It was nice to be away from the city's traffic.
Well, just about 4 days left, I figure, until getting to Ushuaia. Sometimes I get caught up too much in thinking about the end. I've been saying I'm close to the end now for the last 3 episodes or so. But, you know, if that's all I think about, then I kind of miss the beauty of where I am now. There's been a lot of wide open grasslands, you know, that I kind of get used to. But, well, this forest, you know, it's pretty unique. All the trees are pretty low and windblown, but somehow they managed to block the wind from getting me here. So it's really quiet and peaceful. My mom is flying down to meet me in Ushuaia, so that'll be pretty exciting. We're gonna get a little place and spend about a week doing tours and hikes and who knows. And then I'll need to find myself a box and get on the plane.
Despite trying to stay in the moment, it was hard not to think how close I was to the end.
Alright, so I'm climbing up Garibaldi Pass. It's the final pass on this whole adventure. It's crazy how these mountains kind of appeared out of nowhere, you know, and the rest of Tierra del Fuego is just open, flat, windy. And then I get here and it's high mountains and even a bit of snow at the tops of them. It's nice, you know, it kind of reminds me of some of my other favorite parts of the trip so far. Peru and the Rockies, and I just love mountains, you know? So it's so nice to have this one last taste. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. being out here on the crank.
After crossing my last pass, I enjoyed my last descent, and soon found myself in a wide valley with high mountains on either side. Then, before I knew it, I had reached Ushuaia. As I rolled into town, my mom came out to meet me.
Hey, wow!
I picked up a box for my bike,
Gracias.
and then went on a couple of hikes in the surrounding mountains. Took a ride on an old prison train, and finally dipped my feet into the water, just like I did with my dad, 21 months before, back in Alaska. One of the reasons I love long-distance cycle touring is it allows me to experience the full range of environments, from the extreme north to the extreme south. On a bicycle, the world becomes so much larger. Every day I ride about the same distance that a car can drive in an hour. At that speed, I find it much easier to appreciate every unique landscape that I ride through. Without a car roof over my head, I feel fully immersed in the environment. I feel the rain, the wind, and the sun. By riding the entire way, I get to see places I was looking forward to, but also places I knew nothing about. Places I never would have visited if they weren't along my route. In my opinion, traveling becomes an adventure when there is an element of the unexpected, and cycle touring guarantees surprises. Without windows, there was no separation from the people I encountered either. Some of my best memories from the entire trip involved meeting people, either fellow travelers to share the road with, or locals offering food or a helping hand when I needed it. Some of the countries with the scariest reputations had some of the nicest people. All throughout my ride, people asked me why I was doing it, but I feel like the answer should be self-evident. To see the world, to have an adventure, and to renew your faith in humanity, there is really only one activity that I would recommend, and that's cranking it. Alright, there you have it. It's done. Alaska all the way to Argentina. Well, I'm about a month back now, and it feels pretty nice. You know, relaxing, having a shower whenever I want. But the truth is, I already miss it. You know, even the hard parts, especially the hard parts, there's just something so satisfying about just having one goal, one single-minded thing you're doing, and then every day making some progress on it. You know, even the hard days where I only get a few kilometers, you know, that's some kilometers that are behind me and I don't have to do anymore. Now that I'm back, things are a little more complicated, which is fine. That's just how life is, but already planning on my next trip. So no definite plans yet, but I'm thinking about the other options, you know, maybe going to another continent, maybe riding around some other islands. I don't want to announce anything because I want to have a, you know, definite plan before then. But yeah, definitely stay tuned if you want to see more adventures. And in the meantime, I plan on releasing a few more videos, reflections about this last trip, as well as gear reviews, bike reviews, you know, talking about the route. If you have any questions you want me to talk about, please leave them in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give a like to the video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting. A huge thank you to my Patreon supporters, and especially my Crank Tier supporters: Judy Friesen, Dan Phillips, Granberry Mickle, Kate Mike Glasser, Jane Hilton, Joji Kojima, Michael Barker, Marion Hinman, D. Axelrod, Holly and Ed, Sheila and Garth, Ted Chase, Edgar Hernandez, and Kevin Dubois. I hope you enjoyed the series. I hope it was useful to those of you who are planning on doing an Alaska to Argentina ride. I definitely watched a lot of videos before I left, and now this is my chance to give back. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.